Brought to you by Penguin.
A Daughter's Price, written by Emma Hornby, read by Anne Dover. God bless these poor folk that are striving, by means that are honest and true, for summat to keep 'em alive in this world that we're scrambling through. Edwin Waugh, Lancashire poet. Chapter 1. Laura Cannock wrapped a scrap of cloth around the handle of the black-bottomed kettle and lifted it from the belly of the fire. The soft hiss as she poured hot water into the teapot, scalding the dark leaves within, whispered through the dimly lit kitchen, mingling with her sigh as she glanced once more at the clock. How will I tell him? She asked of herself again, her sorrow mounting. Yet more worry, more disappointment to be heaped upon that good man's shoulders. I should have listened, should have heeded his warning. But I didn't, she added out loud. I thought I knew best, and now we're paying the price. Why did I come back here? Eyes burning with unshed tears, she brought down 2 plates from a wooden rack and dished out their evening meal of potatoes and back bacon, his favourite. She'd prepared it specially, some small token to make up for the nightmare telling to come. Of course it was ridiculous, as though a bit of grub could compensate for what she'd brought about. But what else was there? How in God's name else could she portray how heartsore she was about this? Shaking her head, she set to cutting the small loaf. A flurry of noise from below told her that their landlady, Mrs. Hanover, was preparing to close shop. Hasty farewells to the last stragglers, the jingle of the bell atop the door as she shut out the final customer of the day, and Laura's stomach dropped further. For all too soon, the familiar clop of hooves would sound below the window, heralding her father's impending return, and the words she'd have done anything to bite back forevermore would have to be given life. God help her. All was as it should be, as it was each night when Amos Todd finally entered their small rooms. Dragging her eyes up to greet him, Laura could manage but a half-smile. "Hello, Father." "Lass." He dipped his chin in weary acknowledgement. "You look fit to drop. Come, sit by the fire, rest a while whilst I finish dishing up. A sup of tea first, though, I think?" She inclined her head to his well-worn chair, then returned her attention to the teapot, grateful for the distraction. After adjusting the sacking that protected the seat's cushion from the dirt of his trade, Amos eased his large frame into it with a gruff groan. He accepted the steaming mug, wrapping it in his shovel-like hands and closing his eyes, as though to soak up the heat and thus new life into himself. As far back as Laura could remember, he'd always be stripped of his work clothes and his coal-dust ingrained body scrubbed in the tin bath before taking the weight off at the day's end. Lately, however, he couldn't seem to garner the energy to complete his ablutions without a brief rest upon his return. When this change had taken place, she couldn't rightly say. Certainly in the few weeks she'd been back beneath his roof, she'd noticed the shift in routine. Was the hard graft that came with life as a coalman becoming too much for him of late? She wondered again now. It was true to say he wasn't getting any younger after all. Not that he'd ever admit to it. Not her father. Never. His pride, she knew, wouldn't allow it. "I should be looking after you now, Father, at your time of life, as you've allus done for me. And yet, just what make of a daughter was she? She didn't deserve him. She didn't." For several minutes, the flame's soft crackles and Amos's steady breathing were the only sounds. Any other evening she'd have welcomed this with blessed thankfulness. Since her return, she'd relished...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?